So Brandon and I were in today's episode is fairly okay. Fuck it. I can't edit around this. Let's start over. I was trying to make it work, but my brain just like had syntax error. I was like, okay. All right. This one more again from the top. Welcome to After Playlist, the music playlist discussion and reaction podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Terry Yo.
And I am Brandon Lee.
All right. And of course, we love music and talking about it. And today is no different. And today we're actually going to be talking about a fairly unique genre that both Brandon and I aren't really super familiar with. We were both introduced to the wonderful sound of ska. And we're super excited to talk about it and react to it and discuss our feelings about it in gross detail. But obviously, since neither one of us is super familiar with ska, we reached out to the one person that we both knew that lives and breathes ska music. And we reached out to this person and had him build this playlist for us. Plus, for an added bonus, he's here today to talk about all things ska, answer our questions about the genre, and share his own experiences with ska music. Welcome to the show.
Oh, this is a ska episode? I thought we were doing metalcore.
Actually, we're talking about polka.
Oh, yeah. Hey, well, we're not going to be too far off there. I'll tell you that.
I know, right? You're very close. How's it going, Jake?
It's going good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, man.
Yeah, cool. yeah. I'm doing. I have thoughts.
I'm super excited for this episode.
Good. I'm glad at least one of us is.
Oh, yeah. I love music. I just have thoughts.
Cool.
Yeah, so we have quite a large playlist that Jake curated for us today. Just so everyone is familiar with the songs that we're going to be discussing, I'm going to run through it real quick. So starting at the top, Superman by Goldfinger, Be My Guest by Fats Domino, Simmer Down by the Skatelites featuring Bob Marley and the Wailers. And please, if I misspeak or mispronounce any of these, please let me know. A Message to You and Rudy by The Specials and Rico. Two-Tone Army by The Toasters. One Step Beyond by Madness. Save It for Later by The English Beat. Sound System by Operation Ivy. Time Bomb, Rancid. Linoleum, NOFX. Spiderwebs by No Doubt. Wrong Way by Sublime. Your Guts, I Hate 'Em, Real Big Fish. The Impression That I Get, The Mighty Mighty Bosstones. All My Best Friends Are Metalheads by Less Than Jake.
No relation.
No relation. Or is there?
Nope.
Okay, well, put that to bed real quick. Moving on, we have Keasbey Nights by Catch-22. We Wolf All Together, Streetlight Manifesto. It's a Wonderful Life by Bandits of the Acoustic Revolution. Kiss the Girl by Suburban Legends. Noise Complaint by Big D in the Kids Table. Super Rad by the Aquabats. I feel like it needs to be said that way because of the exclamation points.
Yeah.
The Only Thing That Matters, Blink 182. All I Want Is More, Real Big Fish. A Better Place, A Better Time, also by Streetlight Manifesto. Barada by Russ Kaha.
Is it Barada by Russ Kaja?
I knew that was the one I was like, I'm gonna totally mess that one up.
It's all good.
MTV Is Over, If You Want It, We Are the Union. Asinine Aesthetic by Catfight. Here We Go Again, the Taj Motel Trio. And finally, Ska Day by Left Hand Hot Dog. So if you haven't already listened to the songs we're about to discuss, giant list I just finished reading, we do have direct links to the music playlist in the description, aka the show notes, for your listening pleasures.
And before we dive into the episode, we have our customary After Playlist disclaimers. Number one, we respect everyone's opinion, regardless of how wrong and awful it may be. Number two, we know that this music can be infectious and fun, but please remember, please skank responsibly.
Please.
Wasn't ready for that.
You're welcome. And number three, we're just talking about the music. not the artist's real life, personable or cancelable issues or whatever. We're just talking about the music.
And lastly, if you're enjoying the podcast, be sure to give us a like and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, or wherever it is that you choose to listen to your podcast. It's the easiest way to share and support the show, and it's free, so that's always nice. So without further ado, Jake, let's dive into this world of ska, buddy.
Okay. Well, now that you've said that whole mouthful of list of songs on there, you guys listen to the playlist. Not speaking about specific songs yet. What are your thoughts on the genre itself? What are some themes that you guys may have noticed that are kind of go out through the whole playlist? What are some things that you've noticed?
Okay, I'll kick off here. A couple of thoughts just overarching on the genre itself. One, it is not. So I had this misconception that it was straight up just like white people reggae, and that's definitely, I think, that's definitely like there's some tones of that in there, but it is so much more than that. And it's playlist,
white people mariachi.
Yeah, that's also a very fair and valid descriptor, honestly. One thing that really surprised me though was just like the amount of, I guess, like punk influence. It's a very, very punky vibe. I had no idea that ska was so punk-ish. And like punk is another genre. I think me and Terry have said this a few times on the podcast at this point, but it's one of those genres that we haven't really dove into super deeply yet. But it's something we've talked about that we want to do definitely at some point. And this kept highlighting like how awesome that style can be, especially whenever it's like influencing other things and it's kind of like a fusion with all the different sounds that the ska is.
Yeah, I mean, usually people go from punk to ska and not from ska to punk. So this is going to be kind of like a backwards.
We do things a little different here at After Playlist.
Yeah. We go wherever the music takes us.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to say this for later, but right now is like, since Brandon kind of brought it up just now organically, I had an epiphany. And the peek behind the curtain a little bit, I had Jake try to get me into ska a couple years back, and I just couldn't get into it. And like I tried, and my head just did not wrap around it. And I was like, okay, maybe now a couple years has passed, and been doing the podcast for a while, listened to a lot of different things. Maybe my ears in tune to listen to it. So here's the thing: I had an epiphany finally, and it's the P word that Brandon brought up, punk. And I noticed when it came to this playlist, it's about, I like to call it the ska balance. So for me, when listening to the genre, because to me, ska is a fusion of everything. Not everything, but it has a lot of reggae, punk, mariachi. It has that vibe.
It's definitely a few different sounds fused together. So varies by song.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. So at first I thought it was just like a band thing specifically. So then there was the other thing that Brandon brought up in the rock episode, how one band can like go between one rock band can go between different rock genres. So there was a playlist on the playlist. There was a song by Streetlight, Manifesto, that I did not like. And then there's another song by them I did like. And I was like, okay, what is the difference? Because I'm like, okay, I had to figure this out. So my epiphany is, it has to have the right kind of balance. I'm all for music gumbo, but when it's too much of one thing, I'm out. And I think when it comes to ska, when they turn the punk music up too much, I'm out. But when it's leaning more towards the reggae side, I'm in.
Fair. I mean, that's completely fair. A few, white people mariachi is one way that I had somebody describe punk to me, which is why I brought up ska to me, which is why I said that. The other description of ska that I've heard is that it's the music that plays in a 10-year-old's head while he's warming up pizza rolls in the microwave. So
wow, that is super, super specific.
It's super accurate, I think. Honestly.
So what ska is? Ska comes from reggae and it comes from blues. So and kind of rock steady too, really.
Yeah.
One of the things that you guys didn't mention that people at home should know is that a lot of it features a horn section, like trumpets, trombones, saxophones. Now, not saying that every band that has a horn section is ska. I mean, you can't go say Bruce Springsteen is ska, right? So what you're looking for in ska music, They have a horn section, but they're not ska.
Okay.
What you want to look for when you ska music is upstrokes on the guitar. So like the offbeat, kind of like with the guitar.
Mhm.
A walking bass line is typically what it is. And a lot of them feature horn sections. Some of them don't. If they don't have horn sections, then they have like a synthesizer or something playing, between verses and bridges and everything to kind of help fill in some, space. So it's typically up tempo, but, a lot of the songs out there are kind of more reggae style on there. So that's really what ska like really is. And so talking about the first song on this playlist, Superman by Goldfinger, this is probably one of the most recognizable ska songs out there, especially if you ever played the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. This was a big, you recognize the song from that. That was one of the biggest influences, and it brought a whole generation of ska fans into ska with this banger, because it goes hard the whole time. And being in a Tony Hawk game, a lot of those kids played Tony Hawk, and so it brought them into it. So that's why I put it as the first song on here and most recognizable song. I wanted to make sure that we brought in all of y'all's fans the same way that the Tony Hawk fans were brought into this with ska.
Smart.
You guys have any thoughts about that song?
I just want to say, I definitely, knowing the song, it helped me like ease into this playlist a little bit, having like a recognizable song. There's several songs on this playlist actually that I'm familiar with, but I didn't necessarily have the knowledge to like classify them in my head as ska, which was kind of neat. And this was definitely one of them that I was like, oh man, I guess this is totally ska, like as I'm listening to it. You sound like you had some thoughts, Terrio.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Unlike y'all, I had no affinity towards any of these songs. So I didn't know any of these songs going into it. But the one thing that struck me when that first song came on, and again, I know this may be blasphemous, and I apologize, ska fans, and I don't mean any disrespect. Sign off in the comments if you do. But for whatever reason, when I heard the song come on, I automatically thought of Shrek. I just like it just feels like a song that would play at the end of a Shrek movie. so that's the vibe I was getting from that song and a couple other ones. I'm just like, okay, it's kind of like I don't know, just in my mind I started picturing credits rolling. Like, I don't know. It's just that's the vibe I get from the song.
It's kind of got that all-star feel to you, I guess.
Exactly.
Like, I get what you're saying. No, it's a big deal. They're not really ska, but I mean, it's in that.
But just like the energy, the vibe of it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
not tonally, but just the vibe of it. I'm like, okay, it's upbeat, it's cheery. I just feels like, okay, this is the moment where I can, everybody's picking up their popcorn and walking out the movie theater. Like that's the vibe I was getting from it.
It's impossible for me to listen to this song without imagining like hitting grinds and collecting videotapes.
Yeah.
The Tony Hawk connection there is just like imprinted this song into my mind.
So who is Tony Hawk? I'm kidding. I know who Tony Hawk is.
People ask Tony Hawk, or you tell Tony Hawk all the time that, hey man, you look like Tony Hawk.
It's a meme.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
So that's why I put it first. It's a good introduction to it. And then, so the next song we get to is, Be My Guest by Fats Domino. From here on out, we want to think of ska as a tree. So this is the base of the trunk, like where the roots are, and we're going to work our way up to where all the branches are. So from here until I tell you, we are in the trunk of this. This is what starts it. Be My Guest by Fats Domino has a lot of that kind of like, it's a more of a bluesy song, but it has a lot of those upbeats that you're looking for in the guitar. It has those horn parts that, that ska is known for. So these old blue and reggae songs that we're going to be talking about here in the next few minutes are a lot of what really built us into it. And this is really what we call the first wave of ska. There are three main waves. So this is the first wave ska of really being like, the Be My Guest by Fats Domino, Simmer Down by Bob Marley and the Wailers are really where we are in first wave ska.
So like so when listening to the playlist, I got the introduction like, okay, this is quintessential ska with Superman, and then it switched over to Fats Domino and the Skatelites, and I was like, it automatically clicked for me. I was like, okay, I get it. So I don't know, it's so interesting to me how, well, I don't want to say for all genres for sure, but it's very interesting to me that a lot of modern day genres has some sort of roots in blues and reggae, no matter where it goes, like from rock to EDM to whatever. It seems that all like the nucleus of all genres seem to kind of start there and then pivot, like the evolution of music. So I just find that kind of interesting.
That is interesting. I want to say personally, I feel like this first wave, like I definitely noticed. I didn't notice the like where exactly the tone, like the change between wave one and wave two and wave two and wave three was, but I definitely noticed as you listen to the playlist how it kind of changes, like the feel of the song and how it's structured and everything. I think this first wave is like my least favorite.
Wow, I'm the exact opposite.
Really? I'm
Yeah,
like the
the first
further
wave,
down
I
the
get it.
playlist it goes, like as I'm listening, the more into the songs I get. Not that I like
Wow.
necessarily like didn't like these
Yeah,
songs because they are good songs, but yeah, just that's something I noticed for me personally is the further in the playlist, the more I was like jamming out.
like hey, like I said, to me, it's like it's fusing in there. You're throwing everything into the pot, and then you put too much pepper, aka too much punk, in there, and then it just kind of ruins the vibe for me a little bit. So again, so this is the part where we're in the safe zone. I'm like, okay, the reggae. Then I see the reggae and the horns. Okay, and then it kind of starts.
See, I
Kind of
literally
starts
have
fading
like
out a
the
little bit.
opposite. It feels like, especially compared to like the later eras of ska, it almost feels safe. The early, just like
What?
these early songs.
Man, like the later era to me seems more chaotic, and especially when you add more of the punk singers in there, like or the guys that sing in a punk format, and it's so off key, like it's so not good, and like
Man,
it
Terrio, you
it
got an
just
old
bothered me.
soul.
I know that I 100% get that. I'm literally 922 years old, so I get that. But but it's just I mean I guess I like the melodic sounds more in the beginning and the harmonizations of like the earlier part of this playlist. Like I can almost pinpoint around which part of the playlist where it starts to kind of change. And I was gonna bring that up once we got there, but or I could wait till we get there. But I could definitely see the part where it starts branching out and starts doing some other things. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
okay, this is. I'm curious about what. I mean, once we get there, I guess I don't know. I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I have so many questions. I'm gonna shut up now. Go ahead.
Well, kind of going back to one thing that you said is that you've noticed that a lot of genres out there go back to blues and everything because you got to think that was a lot of the music, but from the 1920s all the way up to
Mm-hmm.
even today there's still a lot of blues and
Oh yeah.
out there, and not to get. I mean, I could sit here and get music theory into you guys and fry your brain even more than it already is. But a lot of it, a lot of music comes with that because those are the roots set in music theory for a lot of what you listen to today. That's original and not well, we won't go into specifics, but so getting into like the Be My Guest, the Simmer Down, this is kind of like where it's still
Simmer
reggae, it's still
down.
bluesy, but we're not quite into that like fast pace what we're looking for yet.
Mm-hmm.
So his first wave of ska is also known as two-tone ska, is what it's called.
Mm.
That's the two tone army. Okay.
And so when we move forward into the kind of like the next couple of songs that we're talking about, A Message to You, Rudy, and Two Tone Army are both in that kind of like getting out of that first wave and starting to become the second wave.
Okay,
The
they're like
first
the
two waves of
bridge.
so the first two waves of ska are pretty short in time. So we're getting into that Message to You, Rudy, which is more of a reggae style, but then you get into Two Tone Army, which is a little bit more. We're kind of getting to that upbeat, what we're looking for here in the ska. And Two Tone Army is by the Toasters. You actually know a little bit more ska than you think you do. The Toasters.
I'm quite sure I do.
The Toasters also did the theme song to the old Nickelodeon show Kablam.
Interesting.
So that might be something you might want to go back and listen to. I was going to send you little things, but I didn't want to spoil anything. So they did that.
Okay.
So that's something you may know. Also, if you ever heard, you remember the America's Funniest Home Videos with Bob Saget?
Mm-hmm.
That theme song is a ska song. Go back and listen to it, and you're going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I never realized it."
Well, and that's the thing. So like, I don't know. That's why I picture like when I went back to Superman, thinking about like the Shrek thing and like that energy. Those kind of songs were used in a lot of media back then. But
Yep.
I never listened to it like a whole song in totality. It's like a good 30 seconds. Like, okay, cool, I can handle that much. But then once you get to like, 4 or 5 minutes, depending on the song, like, okay, that's a lot. I do want to say this one thing real quick, and this is very, very important. And I definitely want to get this out to the audience. Y'all gonna put some respect on Kablam. That show was amazing. And I'm so tired of people talking about the shows from the late 1900s, and they don't talk about Kablam enough. It's always all that Amanda Show, all this other stuff. Y'all need to go back and watch Kablam. Kablam was Robot Chicken before Robot Chicken.
I'm not even familiar with Kablam at all. This is like,
oh my gosh, man!
God, where have you? Okay, God, you have so much to learn.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have a after hours after playlist, and it's just gonna be about Kablam.
I'm serious, man. Justice for Kablam. Start that hashtag.
I'm so sorry that I didn't mean to trigger a whole '90s generation for you there, bud.
Somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it.
So, what are you guys thinking about what we're getting into once it gets to a message to you, Rudy, and that two-tone army? Like, what are y'all thoughts there?
A message to you, Rudy, still, like you said, is still, for me, it was still a bit on that in my own head, as I classified it earlier, like kind of like the weaker side. Two-Tone Army definitely, like you said, is more upbeat. It's definitely more towards like the ska that I kind of enjoyed further down on the playlist. Between the two, Two-Tone Army was one I was definitely like jamming out to a whole lot more than A Message to You, Rudy.
Okay.
I was like singing along.
Yeah. I will say this again, may also be blasphemous, but I'm gonna live my truth. Two-Tone Army gave me Monster Mash vibes sometimes. so at that point it made me want, like, I was kind of having like an existential crisis. I was like, was Monster Mash ska? What is ska? And I did look it up. I didn't bother. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna pin it and then I'll go down that rabbit hole later. But just the two-tone, like, just the whole vibe is just the call and response. Like, I enjoyed it. Honestly.
Cool. I think this is also kind of where they really started using their horn sections a lot more. This is where we started getting into that. One thing, for people who don't know anything about me, I know you guys know some stuff about me. I'm a trumpet player. So listening to music where the horn section is a feature and not just some background noise to help make the sound bigger was a huge thing for me. So I think we're really starting to get into that. And that kind of takes us a little bit into the earlier part of the 80s, where we're with One Step Beyond by Madness and Save It for Later by the English Beat.
I misspoke.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I did misspeak. So it wasn't Two-Tone Army, the song that gave me the Monster Mash vibes. It was the song following it, One Step Beyond, that gave me Monster Mash vibes.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Yes, it does.
I was going to let you live your truth because that's what you said right before you said that. Live my truth. And I was going to be like, yeah, man, you do your thing. So One Step Beyond. Yeah. So originally when I had this playlist, I had Our House by Madness on there, which is a much more popular song. People know it, but it's not really their ska side. Mm-hmm. And when I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, I wanted to change this. And then I thought I changed it before I sent you over the playlist. But now we're on the One Step Beyond. This is more their ska side. This particular song, yeah, it's more of a horn feature because all it is the saxophone just doing his thing with the guy doing the intro and then saying One Step Beyond like 3 or 4 times throughout the song. Boom, end. But this is one of those kind of like ska songs that I like because I kind of like more of the instrumental type stuff and everything. And shout out John Latham, who kind of got me really back into Madness. He made fun of me a whole lot. He was like, "You hadn't heard Madness?" And I'm like, "I probably have." And he sent me this, and I was like, "Oh!" And then that kind of helped me get into more of that '80s sound. But that's really what One Step Beyond is. And then you got Save It for Later by the English Beat, which of course, they're from England, and from there, they're just known as the Beat.
No. What?
Yeah.
That would be funny, like the English Beat, and like none of their songs are in English. Like, that would be amazing.
So, but when it comes down to these two, go ahead, give your thoughts. Let's see what you gotta see what we say.
Save It for Later is one of those songs that like almost doesn't sound like ska to me.
Yep,
like if it wasn't on this playlist, I would not have pegged it as ska at all.
No horns, 80s synth. It's kind of like, this one's kind of like a mixture of that like more 80s music than it would be with ska. But like if you can go, I mean, I really was just having a hard time picking a good English beat song that I really wanted to use. So it's a little bit more in the 80s music song, but they have that synth in there. They got it's not as heavy on the guitar upstrokes, but I mean, they will still are up there.
Yeah, so with my correction, One Step Beyond was basically Monster Mash ska version.
Okay, I was thinking, as I was like right there with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
whenever you said it was Two Tone Army at first, I was like, okay, what's he on about? Whenever like one step, one step beyond is like right after it, and it's so obviously like it definitely gave me Monster Master. It's the intro.
It's the intro.
Hello. It's like it's the tone of
Don't
voice
watch
as
that.
he does.
Watch this.
Yeah, that definitely gives it 100%. It gave me Monster Mash vibes too.
Yeah. But as far as save it for later, honestly, that's probably like in my top 5 songs on this playlist. It's such a good vibe, and it's not. It's like how can I describe it? It's not. It's ska, but it's not. I don't know. It's weird to me.
We turned the dial back down. This imaginary dial that you've had, we turned it back down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You turn the reggae down, but you haven't added the punk into it. So it's like ska without the reggae and without the punk, which at that point isn't even ska. So I don't know. It just I like the song for what it is. It's a good vibe. It's like kind of it's upbeat but chill at the same time, and like that's my wheelhouse. Like I like that.
Cool. All right then. So the next song is where we're at the top of our tree trunk. We're not. Okay. This is where the branches are forming outside the top of this song. We're on Operation Ivy. So Operation Ivy, the song sound system we have on here, probably is one of if not the most influential bands, not only for ska, but for punk rock and other rock. I would venture to say, and again, y'all can correct me if you want to, I feel like Operation Ivy really set the tone for everything that you hear today in the rock in the rock genre, especially the punk rock. Listen to this song, you can hear both sides of it. Now, this band was only around for 2 years. Oh. And I believe they released one album. I could be wrong with that. I believe it's only one album. And it was like 6 to 8 songs. And those 6 to 8 songs were so influential to so much music that it's just, it blows my mind. So with that, what are your thoughts on this particular song?
Sick bass line.
Oh,
that's the one thing that like really sticks out. And I feel like this is like the first song where we really start getting like that, like you mentioned at the top, like that, like heavy, very important to the rest of the songs as well, but very important to like the structure of the song is the bass.
Yeah. And I second that as far as like the structure of the song. For me, any song is always drum, bass, and then whatever else beyond that. But yeah, this is one of the songs where I was like, okay, like I was almost tipping out. Like, so it's like, okay, so the song is short, and I do appreciate that. And it's one, it's no shade, but it's just like one of those songs where it's like, okay, I need to skip this, and at this point we decide to skip it. It's already like 90 seconds in. So I was like, okay, well, I might as well just let it ride through. And then I end up coming back around. And I'm like, okay, I'm digging it. It's fine. And then the song cuts off. Sound system, click. I'm like, oh.
I kind of like that though. It leaves you wanting more. I'm a big fan of just the chaotic energy of this song. It's just like very, I don't know, it's very infectious.
I mean, it is. It's nowhere near as chaotic as some of the other songs on here, but it's enough to kind of like tease you, enough to kind of give you a foreshadow of where we're going to go. And
that's a huge, that right there. That's a big sentence there, Terrio. That is exactly what the song is. It's a very big teaser about where this playlist is headed. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to tell you, if y'all have never ever listened to this Operation Ivy and you want to listen to more, please listen to their whole album because it's very, very good. Like I said, they weren't around for very long. So now we're going to start getting into our branches of trees, and we're going to start with our first branch that's kind of like more of a skate punk. This is a little bit less on the ska side, but this is kind of like, I wanted to include this so you could see how influential Operation Ivy really was. The two songs that are next on the list are Time Bomb and Linoleum. Now, Rancid, who did Time Bomb, are two of the members from Operation Ivy went on to create Rancid.
Oh, okay.
So that's why they sound very close to Operation Ivy, because two of the members are there. And then they kind of like helped with getting Linoleum by NOFX, which is really into your kind of skate punk, where it's just really, really fast, kind of like off beats a little bit there. And it's just a lot of like complex lyrics and just moving really fast. Rancid is known for their bass lines just being hella good. They got a song called Maxwell Murder that's just like insane on the bass, but I include Time Bomb because it's a little bit more on the ska side, and then Linoleum kind of gets a little past ska, more into punk. But with these two songs, what's y'all thoughts?
It makes total sense that this is like ska punk, as you said, because these were definitely the first. These two songs were the songs as I was first, like my initial listen through the playlist, where I was like, "Oh, is that punk I'm hearing right now?" Like these were the two songs that like really keyed me in to that being a part of the genre itself more than like any others. I feel like.
Yeah, very much so for me. So this is where I kind of started to dip out of the playlist because we were heading into that punk genre, and this also took me back to when I very first, way back in high school, started to explore rock music in general. Like, because I was never was brought up with that music at all. So I recognized both of these bands for two totally different reasons. NoFX, I recognize because like my classmate in high school gave me their CD to listen to and try to get into it. And I was like, okay, I wasn't really feeling them. I ended up liking. They gave me another CD too by what's the other band? Oh yeah, Alien Ant Farm, and there was another one. Ended up liking Alien Ant Farm more than NoFX. It was too much too soon. You kind of eased me into it. I kind of just threw me in the deep end with that. Rancid, I heard of them through the wonderful educational program called South Park on Comedy Central. And
Very
they had,
educational. Yeah.
yeah, you learn so much on there. At least I did. So on their Chef Aid episode, Rancid was one of the bands on there,
Oh my
and
God.
I just thought it was funny because I was like, their name is Rancid. Like it's just a funny name, and they clipped some of that music, but it was South Park, so I didn't know if it was like a real band or if it was a fake band. But I was like, oh, that's a real band.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead, Brandon.
I just want to say, like Linoleum specifically, like they both have a more punk sound, but it was really the lyrics to Linoleum that like really keyed me in, where I was like, okay, this is like straight up some punk rock lyrics right now, like talking about his dog named Bob who pisses on the floor and he's got a pocket full of lint and holes and stuff's falling through his pants. Like that's just so like punk, right? And I just wanted to kind of highlight that the lyric side of it.
Yeah. I have my. Never mind. I'm not.
It's okay.
It cracked me up. It made me smile just because it's like the I don't know, almost like tongue in cheek nature of it, right?
Well, okay. So for me, like, okay, I might be derailing just a little bit, but it's just it's the singing and pop music. I can get behind the lyrics since you kind of got me to dissecting lyrics more and understanding the meaning and all that good stuff, asshole. But I can get behind that. That's fine. But it's all the I'm like, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. Like I just can't. It's nauseating. Like
not all of us can be classically trained. Okay. All right.
No, it's not even that. I just need you to lower your voice. You are a man. Like that's what I need you to do. Yeah, exactly. It's like, get on the floor. I'm like, ugh. Like
I feel like that's also like very indicative of punk too, though. Is like the not necessarily being like a trained singer, right? And just kind of just like literally getting up there and just screaming the lyrics at the crowd.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like that embodies the spirit of it. I feel like.
Yeah,
I get it. I mean, it's borderline assault, but yeah, I get it.
Well, actually, there's actually a really popular Rancid song. If I fall back down, if I fall back down, you're gonna help me back up again. That's a Rancid song if you know the song. So that's a little bit more on the mainstream. Which, speaking of mainstream, that's what our next two songs are really kind of like where ska was, where you heard it in the mainstream. Yep. And that's Spiderwebs by No Doubt, and then I put Wrong Way by Sublime because that's more their ska. That's more their ska feel, but everybody knows Santeria by Sublime. Yeah. But a lot of those people just like, oh yeah, I know that song, but then you play another Sublime song and they're like, I don't.
That's me.
Yeah, like I've never heard another Sublime song in my entire life. What are you doing? Go back to that other one. So these were Wrong Way was kind of in the media mainstream. There are a lot of movies used Wrong Way. A couple of places did. So it was a little bit less than Santeria, but it's there. So this is kind of like these two songs are our mainstream section. This is the branch. We were on a new branch. We're on the mainstream branch now. So I mean, I'm pretty sure you've heard Spiderwebs, both of you, right?
Yeah.
In passing.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like, No Doubt, like, I as I got more into music outside of R&B and hip hop and soul and blues and all of that, No Doubt was one of the bands that I liked, but I had no idea what category they were.
They kind of bounced around though in genre wise, right? Like they definitely were kind of experimental in that regard. I think I've not really listened to them extensively, but from the little bit I have, it seems like it's hard to put them in a box.
Well,
you can only play so much ska for the main media before they're like, okay, we need to do something different. Quick, change it.
Thank you. I'm so thank you for validating me. But yeah, but like when it came to No Doubt was one of those bands that this is early 2000s when I was kind of getting into all of this stuff. So they were at their peak before, well, not at their peak, but they were obviously known before then. But by the time I got to them, that's when they were already like hella commercial and was crossing over into the hip hop world. Like when Gwen Stefani did that song with Eve, "Let Me Blow Your Mind," that was like, again, that'll be so common now because it's music is more fluid than before. But back then, to have a Philly rapper using the lead singer from No Doubt on a track that was produced by Dr. Dre, like that was like revolutionary. Like our minds are all blown, and it worked, and it became like a super hit. Also with No Doubt, the whole band, including Gwen Stefani, crossing over and working with Pharrell Williams of the Neptunes on Hella Good and all that sound and all that whole sound or whatever. So like that was like, oh shit, we can do this. So like to me, that was where my interest in producing and everything else started really escalating more, because I was like, oh, I could actually borrow some of this. Again, not realizing that the roots was always in blues and reggae and all of that. That was always the core of it. So that's why it tends to blend more, into that kind of hip hop and R&B world. So I found that super fascinating. And Sublime, I mean, this is like the way they're singing in that. I can handle that. I can listen to Sublime all day. It's all the all of that. I can't deal with that. So that's just my ear personally. But yeah,
I do want to say, any listeners, because I didn't know this until like just maybe a couple of years ago, I finally learned this fact, maybe from this playlist, or I don't know, maybe you told me about it, Terrio. But if you just learned in this episode, listen to this episode today, that Gwen Stefani is from the band No Doubt, definitely let us know, because I feel like a lot of people that are like kind of on the younger side, like grew up with like, Holla Back Girl Gwen Stefani, and had no idea that she was in a super popular band for years and years and years before she had her solo career.
Yeah, man, that shit is bananas.
Bananas. Okay, I liked both of these, which I guess makes sense because they were both, like you said, like kind of more mainstream popular songs. What the hell is Wrong Way talking about exactly? Like,
man, don't
some
ask
questionable
me,
lyrics.
There are some questionable lyrics on there, but the thing is that like that was one of their more popular songs. I mean, they had songs with Gwen Stefani. I believe Saw Red was with Gwen Stefani.
Yeah.
But in that one, I don't know. Sublime can get a little weird with their lyrics. I mean, I do agree with that. But don't ask me what the song is about, because I'm good. I'm looking at it. I'm good.
Well, okay. So for me, because again, I was listening to the lyrics a little bit more, but listening to the song is basically about making the wrong decisions, and then him saying that he's also influencing this girl's wrong decision. And then I just find it funny because not funny, but ironic. I'm not sure if they're talking about the same Annie that Michael Jackson was talking about, because I think Annie, Are You Okay? is also kind of the whole situation. He's talking about a girl named Annie who was basically, to me, the whole point of the song is just saying that you can be on a path and you can, be doing the best for what you can do right now, but that path can lead you down the wrong path. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's the choose your adventure, situation. You think is good now, but that's taking you the wrong way. Then also other people influencing you and can help push you down the wrong path when you're trying to go a certain path or whatever. So that's the vibe that I was getting from it, because he's not saying that like, he's innocent and good, but he's like, hey, she's doing this, that's the wrong way. Then I said this, well, hell, fuck, now I sent her down the wrong way and I'm going down the wrong way. We're all just fucked up. So that's the whole vibe of the song I'm getting. Is like, no matter what you do in life, you're going to do something that's going to take you down the wrong way, quote unquote wrong way, because we're all fucked up individuals and nobody's perfect.
I think that's a much more gracious take than I had listening to it. So
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
we'll post that on the internet. Let's do that.
There you go.
Okay. Well, moving on. Because I guess everybody else can. If you agree with me, great. And if you don't, I guess you hate my guts.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, what a great segue. So kind of a little bit more Spiderwebs the Wrong Way, and from here we're kind of there. That's your mainstream. So now we're getting into our third wave of ska. You can kind of include those two mainstream songs in third wave, but this is really what we listen to today. This is where really are today. Third wave ska is just where the genre is starting to get really defined as what it is. A lot more bands are putting out work. It's not just those few bands here and there, and they're really developing into into their own. So the first song that really in our third wave is the very first ska song I ever heard. And as a person, say, connecting the two together. I mean, obviously I'd heard some of those other songs before, but connecting ska with a genre, this is the first song I ever heard, which was Your Guts, I Hate 'Em by Real Big Fish. I mean, it is a very simple song to follow. It is a guy singing a song about a girl that he hates. So, you know.
It might be my favorite song on the playlist, largely because it's so simple, but so perfect at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is where my old soul hat kind of comes in. I'm listening to the song, and when he comes in, I wrote this song about you. I automatically harken back to what was her name? Carla Thomas. You're so vain. Do you really think this song is about you? Like it makes me think about that song. And I try to had to physically, mentally disconnect my brain to enjoy the song because my brain automatically goes to Carla Thompson or Thomas, whatever, when it comes to this song. But yeah, I dig it. And to me, this song exemplifies the perfect balance between the reggae and the punk because it has the length of a punk song. Because this is me analyzing in real time. Because going back to Operation Ivy, like you said, was like the foreshadowing of what's to come. This right here is like part of that. Like I could connect the dot like straight from that song to this one, and then I can hear the reggae, the horns, the riffing, the length of the song, straightforward, boom, perfect. To me, this is like it. Like
it's also just such a mood.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
If you're pissed off at someone, play this song, and it will. You'll connect to it on a deeper level than you might otherwise.
I mean, you'll connect to it, or it might be the last song you hear. Either way, it's
that's true. Really Fish is really kind of they write a lot of funny songs, which we can get to a little bit later on in this playlist. There is another Real Big Fish song on this playlist, but they write a lot of funnier songs. They got songs about banning wearing tube tops. And they have, songs about how this is in the 90s, she has a girlfriend now, guy who breaks up with a girl breaks up with a guy because she decides she likes girls now. And they have a really good take on it. It's a lot of, so they like to write a lot of funnier stuff. And I like Real Big Fish. They're just kind of one of those where you can sit back and just kind of relax and just kind of vibe to. They got a lot of their stuff's a little faster. This is one of their more reggae songs, but Real Big Fish is great.
Yeah. And this is the band that I will forever associate you with, Jake, because there was not a time that we did not hang out or work together that you did not mention Real Big Fish.
That's true. Real Big Fish, Streetlight, Manifesto. That's all it was.
That was it.
Yeah, so, hey. I liked them so much, fellers. I got the Real Big Fish tattoo. Oh
wow!
Yeah, so
nice.
And a Streetlight tattoo too.
Wow.
For those listening at home, I just took off my shirt to show the fellers the muscles. So
okay, and if you want to see this content, you go to onlyfans.com/nonaslam.
Well, when we get to the thank yous at the end, I'll give them the real link. So that kind of segues us into another song. Now, Q, this is where I'm going to surprise you one more time.
Mm-hmm.
You like Digimon?
Okay. No, but
wait, well, never mind then. Oh God, you just ruined my whole bit. Oh my gosh, can we start this podcast over?
To be fair, I had a roommate that was obsessed with Digimon, so I'm not a fan, and I'm putting this out there, y'all. This was my situation, and I need sympathy in the comments. I had two roommates. One of them was a Pokemon fan, and the other one was a hardcore Digimon fan, and I was a fan of neither. So my existence was hell when it came to those two factions.
That's rough.
That's rough, buddy. That's rough.
Yeah, I was definitely more Pokemon than Digimon as a kid, so I'm also not super familiar with Digimon.
So the next two songs, the impression that I get by My Mighty Bosstones and All My Best Friends Are Metalheads by Les and Jake, were both introduced to a lot of the people through the Digimon the movie soundtrack, because both of those songs were used on it. Mm-hmm. A lot of the friends that I've been playing in bands with, that's where they became more familiar with ska music with those two songs. I mean, it was a banger album. It was really, really good. My Bosstones, they're more north. They're from Boston. Less Than Jake, they're from Gainesville, Florida. So you got two different sides of that ska world. Kind of going back to one of the disclaimers, we're not really going to get into the meat and potatoes about Mighty Bosstones anymore. But, listening to their music, you can see where, they've kind of been influential and everything. And then going to Less Than Jake, they were, this is kind of, they were starting to get into their own around that time too. Okay. Now, Less Than Jake, I have no relation to them. I have met them. And there is a video of me at a music festival with my shirt off dancing while they're playing on stage. So
nice.
I have been able to meet these guys. I've played with them. I played a show with them when I was in another band. I opened for for their lead singer, and they're really cool. We got to talk and meet with these guys. So Less Than Jake's really cool, but these two songs are really big, real big bangers in our community here. So.
Okay. I agree with that. I know I just said Your Guts, I Hate 'Em was possibly my favorite, but really all three of these, being back to back, again, like I said at the top, really from about this point, from Your Guts on, it's where I really just love basically every song on the playlist, except for maybe one or two that I just kind of didn't vibe with. But those three in particular are right there, all neck and neck for what my favorite song. If I had to pick a favorite, just yeah, they're all three vibes, but they're different vibes too, which is nice. Terrio does not agree. I can see it in his eyes.
Terrio does not agree.
So this is the point. I specifically took note. I was like, okay, around Less Than Jake is where it goes off the rails for me. As far as the balance scale, it tilts too far to the punk for me. And I just was not feeling a lot of the songs. There's parts of the songs I like, but then it just goes too far. So definitely around this part is where I originally thought, in the tree analogy, that I thought at this point is where it started to branch it off. I didn't realize we had a couple of little branches before then. This is the point I can pretty much okay, this is where ska becomes ska what it is now and loses a lot of its reggae influence. There's still something in there, but they just cranked it up to 11 with the punk. And I'm just okay. And the screaming at the crowd and trying to sing, but not quite. And it's just, this is the part where I was like, okay, I just gotta make it through. For me,
okay.
That's just how I felt with it. Because again, I'm not a punk fan. Maybe in a couple episodes down the line, I'll get there. But again, I'm just I
can't wait to listen to the punk episode and just listen to you just the whole time, just oh God, I hate this.
Or you never know. I'm oh my God, punk is so good. I'm opposed to have. I'm not opposed to have my mind blown. So if we can do it, or if people have some punk music suggestions, I'm down to hear it. It's just as of this recording right now, punk ain't it for me. It's just a lot of wailing and high pitched man screaming, and I'm just not into it like that yet.
Punk, I feel in by I guess proxy, a lot of these third wave ska songs, you really have to, to me at least, the way I look at it is it's about the vibe is a specific, but you got to be okay with the vibe of just that high energy kind of chaotic. If you're willing to just accept that and just be okay with that, I feel I don't know.
I refuse.
I don't know. To me, that's a big part of what draws me in is that chaotic energy and the just fast paced nature of it, both in the singing or the instrumentals or whatever it may be. Yeah, I think that's a key component.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with the well, I don't know. It's my brain is okay, is it fast because the energy there, or is it fast for fast sake? It's just my brain is just not it's just not competing. And then I'm gonna go and just talk about Catch-22.
That's possibly one of the more punk. That's one of the most punk, in my opinion, on the entire playlist. I think.
It just increasingly got higher and higher and higher. And then when I finally got to Catch-22, especially the ending of the song, where it just really, I'm okay, all right, stop. This is too much for me. And thank goodness, dare I say this, but thank goodness Streetlight Manifesto came through and kind of took it back down a notch. And I was okay, now we're back in the ska I could tolerate for a moment. But just that whole cluster, Your Guts, I like it because it's funny. I'm a sucker for a good funny song. I'm fine with that. Love that song. But just once it came to the Mighty Bosstones and then Less Than Jake, and then Catch-22, Keasbey Nights. Once we got to that part, I was okay, either I'm going to jump off a bridge or I'm going to drive through a building. One of the two, because I'm it was just too much for my brain to handle at that point. That's just how.
So it's really So it's really funny that you said all that. So I included Keasbey Nights in here by Catch-22 because that whole album was written by the lead singer of Streetlight Manifesto.
Fuck this noise. What?
So I'm going to tell you right now, guys, I could do an entire hour and a half episode on Catch-22, Streetlight Manifesto, and
Real Big Fish?
No, not Real Big Fish. Bands of the Acoustic Revolution. These next three songs are kind of in a block together.
Okay.
So the album Keasbey Nights was written by a guy named Thomas Kalnoky, who didn't like the way it was produced, left the band, and started Streetlight Manifesto and re-recorded the whole album the way he wanted it done. He got his friends to come in and do what they wanted to do what they all wanted him to do, and release a different album. And then they kind of spun off a little bit and became Bandits of the Acoustic Revolution, which is they do a lot of they have one album out. It's a couple of Streetlight songs, but they have a couple of their own originals, which is It's a Wonderful Life is a Bandits of the Acoustic Revolution original. So these three songs all really go together, and I will tell you, We Will Fall Together is the song that instantly hooked me into ska. The first thing that you notice as soon as, you hear the bum, 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 and then it's just immediate horn line. And that is where my brain was like, horns are this band. This is not things in the background. And so this whole block here is all about the evolution of the early years of Thomas Kalnoky, how he does his writing, adding some of this stuff and seeing what he does with his stuff. And I really liked Keasbey Nights. I like the Catch-22 version. The Streetlight version is also very, very good. We Will Fall Together comes from, it was a huge hit for me. That whole album is my favorite ska album of all time. It means so much to me, listening to that from start to finish. And then the Bandits of Acoustic Revolution album is just like a good way to get into an acoustic version of what you're listening to these days.
Okay.
I mean, I could do a whole episode on just this area of where we're at on our tree branch here.
Well,
so
I will say,
I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I will say We Will Fall Together might be my favorite, just like on a lyrical basis. I really like the lyrical or the lyrics of what is being sung in We Will Fall Together. And like you just mentioned, I did like It's a Wonderful Life kind of for the more acoustic style. Like it's still like undoubtedly ska, right? But I don't know, it just has a very different feel to it whenever you have that being the main sound versus like a more punk electric-y guitar sound. It brings us a totally different vibe.
Okay, so let me get some clarification. So did Catch-22, that happened before Streetlight Manifesto, right?
Correct. They released the album Keasbey Nights with this song being on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the lead singer of the band at the time left because for reasons, and then created Streetlight Manifesto.
And then spun off again. Okay, all right. So it's funny, like not funny, but yeah, I see what you did there. That's very smart. I do like the evolution because from Catch-22, hated it. We Fall Together, okay, solid. But then when we got to It's Wonderful Life, that intro alone had me hooked. Like just that,
it's
like
nice
just
intro.
that whole
It really
vibe.
is.
It like took me back to the classical musical, playlist days. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling the almost overture kind of vibes kind of coming in.
Oh yeah,
And then the ska starts and now I was like, okay, now I'm back in. Like that was the palate cleanse that I needed, leaving Less Than Jake and then the original Catch-22. And then Streetlight Manifesto was fine. It was okay, but that wasn't what I needed. Like had you put It's a Wonderful Life first before We Fall Together, I would love We Fall Together even more because my ear needed that break from that mess up there.
In terms of release dates, It's a Wonderful Life did come before We Will Fall Together. It's actually part of their third album is We Will Fall Together. So in terms of release date, yeah, but in terms of how the evolution of the story, I like to include it that way.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. I like it.
I had no issue with it, so 2 thumbs up, Jay.
I mean, Streetlight Manifesto is my favorite band of all time. I mean, really is. From that album, Somewhere in the Between, that has We Will Fall Together is, absolute one after another banger. And it really, as a trumpet player, I really connected with ska listening to this album.
Yeah, I can see that.
The listening to it, learning, that's where I started learning more about these people and everything. I see Streetlight almost every single time they come. And then this is one of my biggest idols too. I mean, I play trumpet. I've learned how to play a lot of these songs, and I don't really want to go far into what I'm about to say, but their trumpet player died a couple of years ago, and it was a big hit on my life. I really love to listen to him play, and so Streetlight will always be with me, no matter what. And so it was a no brainer. Streetlight is the band that most people associate with ska music. It really is.
That.
If you say, hey, do you listen to ska? And they'd be like, it's like, yeah. I was like, oh, what do you listen to? That most likely they'll say Streetlight Manifesto. I mean, like they're like, I would say that they're the big band of ska music. So all the listeners out there, I highly recommend, please go back and listen to some of their stuff, because I
plan on doing that for sure.
So good. They're so good. But we got that little palette cleanser with the acoustic stuff. I love that song so much. It's very good. You got the intro that you're talking about. You got the horn parts, the horn solos in the middle of the song that kind of slow you down a little bit, and then kind of picks back up at the end. Great song. Love it.
Yeah, no notes. Like that was, to me, that's the craftsmanship of the instrumentation. Like the one thing about ska music you definitely can't take away from it at all is the instrumentation, and the playing is like phenomenal. Like it definitely takes a certain skill set to be in these bands and to perform at the caliber in which they are performing. So my hat goes off to them for that, for sure.
So bringing us out of my feels a little bit, because talking about Streetlight and their trumpet player does kind of put me in my feels. We kind of get to a song that everybody knows. We've all heard this song. So
okay, better or worse.
So here's the thing.
Hold your horses. So Kiss the Girl by Suburban Legends, just so everybody knows where we're at in our playlist here. Disney made friends with the Suburban Legends, who actually, they do a lot of originals, but they do a lot of Disney covers too, and they actually go and play those Disney covers at I believe the California park. They'll put on concerts there and play all of their Disney songs for everybody, and they're do a lot of friendly stuff. It's good for the crowds there. So, but with that, let's go ahead and hear your thoughts on this take of this song.
Okay,
I regret to say this might be the one I skipped the most.
What?
Really?
It's one of like 2 or 3 songs that I skipped just because, dude. Okay, like I have a sister. She's a couple years older than me. She loved The Little Mermaid growing up, so I heard this song constantly growing up, and it's impossible for me to divorce this song from that movie. I just kept picturing that stupid lobster or whatever he is.
Hey, hold up.
He's a crab. Thank you.
Thank you. Get it right. We're not gonna disrespect Sebastian on here.
Okay, yeah, Sebastian. That's his name.
Yes.
It's just la 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 kiss the girl with his like Creole accent or whatever he has in the movie. Like they obviously don't sing it. Or it is like it's slightly different than the movie version.
Yeah.
So I do like it more than the actual movie version. But yeah, just it's impossible for me to divorce it from that. So I ended up skipping it quite a bit. Okay. I'm sad to say.
Okay. So when I first listened to the song on the playlist, I'm just like, okay, I'm listening, I'm multitasking. And then I'm like, okay, why does this sound familiar? And what the sha-la-la-la? I'm like, God dang it.
I immediately knew, dude. I was driving down the road coming home and it came on and I was like, no, it's not. Shut up. And it was.
All I could do was crack up. I was like, okay, that is hilarious. And it's crazy how it fits. And then I just, again, harken back to the reggae nature of ska. I was like, okay, of course there will be a cover of this song, a ska cover specifically of this song. Why wouldn't it be? And I definitely enjoyed it for what it was. I wasn't harassed by The Little Mermaid like Brandon was growing up. So, when I heard it every now and then with my cousins or whatever, when they had it on VHS, because I'm that young, it didn't bother me because this is the one song I knew. Between that one and
probably Under the Sea.
Oh, yeah, that one. And then the one where she loses her voice or whatever. So that's the only thing from The Little Mermaid I really knew.
They covered Under the Sea too, just FYI.
Oh, yes. So I definitely got to go back and check that out.
They also did a really cool cover of DuckTales theme song. That is okay. Prime. It is so good. It was my second choice, but I felt like Kiss the Girl would hit a little harder. Which Brandon, I know that you hate that song, but go back and listen to the final chorus, and you can see where they kind of blend everything together. The horns, there's a lot of really good harmonies at the very, very end of this song. It's killer. And so
I'll agree with that. The ending is like the few times, or it was more than a few. The good handful of times I didn't skip the song. The ending definitely brought it together, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also recommend going and watching the music video for that song for them because it's very good. They put a whole little different take on what Kiss the Girl means, and it's pretty good. It's nothing like weird or anything like that.
Okay.
But it's good. It's very good.
Me and Terry are both just cocked our eyebrows like, what do you mean?
I'm sorry. You can cut that. All right.
I mean, we respect everyone's opinion.
It's nothing weird or anything like that, but it puts a different take onto it. It makes you kind of think about the song from a different point of view, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm putting my foot further in my mouth than I should be, but it's good. It's good. I wouldn't have recommended it if it was problematic at all. So we got one more song to go before we kind of get into a couple of different things here. So the next one is Noise Complaint by Big D and the Kids Table. This is kind of where you got to get more of a bluesy kind of fast-paced bluesy. Now I always associate Big D and the Kids people as drinking a cold Pabst Blue Ribbon, a big old PBR, and having a party and having a good time. They also have a lot of angry music out there. They got really good reggae tunes out there. One thing that Big D and the Kids Table is really known for is that they do a cover of Little Bitch by The Specials. What they used to do when they would tour is they would go to these cities and they would pick a bar and they would film a music video of them singing the song. The lead singer sits at a table and two people would come in on each verse and try to chug as many beers as they could. And then they would switch out and two new people would come in and do the same thing. And then they would have like a big party during the guitar solo and then come back and continue to do the whole thing. And they would do this in each city. So if you go on YouTube and search, Big D and the Kids Table Little Bitch, you're going to see tons of these videos of the lead singer doing this with their band. And it's really cool to watch, but Noise Complaint is the song that I always really loved by Big D and the Kids Table because it's so very music theory based, 1-4-5, 1-4-1-4-5, and it's just very easy to play. It's easy to vibe to, and it's we've all been to a party where it's been kind of noisy, and you're like sitting in the background and you're enjoying the music, and you can kind of picture yourself at that party. That's why I chose this song. So go ahead, you guys.
For me, I'm just gonna jump right at the bat. Brandon, how you were describing how people going into punk music should feel as far as the vibe and the angst and all of that and having the fun part, Noise Complaint to me is like that. But I only get it from that. I don't get that feeling from the other punk songs, if that makes sense. So me listening to Noise Complaint, the whole fun vibe, and I guess the horns definitely play a part of it because it just feels like a whole fun event kind of deal. It just, so that's the vibe I get from that song. I wish I could have that same feeling with other punk songs, but for this one, this is the vibe I get. And I enjoyed that one. And again, just, I guess coming from It's a Wonderful Life, Kiss the Girl, and then, going to Noise Complaint, like, okay, this is like back-to-back fun. Like, I can see the party going crazy, like increasingly like vibing out and having a good time.
I think that's kind of fair because this was another one of the ones where, like, especially on my initial listen to the playlist, this was one that really stuck out to me as kind of more punk-ish, and to me in a very like positive way. My one big note that I made for this song was just I love the drums. The drums are like very prominent, and it's just the drums are just it's very killer on this song.
Yeah, and me personally, I just like the call and response, the simplicity of the lyrics, to where even if you heard the song for the first time, by the time you get to like the second verse, you're singing along word for word.
You're yelling Noise Complaint in the background.
Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, because that literally was me. I'm just like, Noise Complaint, and I'm like sitting here at home with my headphones on with no noise playing, but I'm just screaming. So my neighbor's probably like, "What the hell are you talking about? Like, there's no noise coming over there." So
cool.
It's actually funny you say that because this was definitely where, I mean, there were several songs before this on the playlist, but this was definitely where, like, on the playlist, I really I found myself singing along a lot more, like a lot more animatedly, I guess is maybe a way to put it.
Yeah, I really like the trombone solos in there where it just kind of comes in out of nowhere, kind of makes a little.
Yeah,
you can just imagine yourself at a party and somebody's like, "Oh, I play trombone," just starts playing it right then and there. That's how
same. So, that's the mental vibe I had. Yeah. And then it just, again, the song is already full, but then when you add those brass instruments in there, it just fills it up and it just makes it more full, more voluminous. It just becomes a whole, like, it's definitely not like Bourbon Street, but like I just picture like a Mardi Gras like kind of vibe essence of that, like while this song was playing, kind of deal. So
Cool. So that moves us into our next block. Of these next three songs are kind of a block together, and you'll kind of see why as I kind of describe them. So, Super Rad by the Aquabats. They are a '90s group that are still playing and touring today. The Aquabats have their own show. They have the Aquabats Super Show that you can watch. I don't know what it plays on, but so the lead singer of the Aquabats is the creator of the kid show Yo Gabba Gabba. So a lot of their songs are kind of like kid songs, like kiddie songs, like Super Rad. If you watch the music video, it's about kids getting bullied, and the group is a bunch of superheroes, and they come to save the day. They got a song called Pool Party, which is about having a pool party at the guy's house after school one day. Pizza Day, which is about pizza. It's pizza day in the cafeteria. So the Aquabats are great. If you like a good kid sound and you want to, if you want to enjoy some ska with your children, please, y'all should listen to Aquabats. They're very good. Now, I included Super Rad on here because the Aquabats' second drummer was none other than Blink-182's drummer, Travis Barker.
Oh.
Okay.
So you can go back and listen to some Blink-182 and, this album of the Aquabats. I believe it was only this album that he was on. And you can really hear in the drumming Travis Barker doing these songs. That's why I included a Blink-182 song as the next song, The Only Thing That Matters. Now, they like to use Blink-182 does occasionally like to call back to some of their roots, ska being one of them. So there is a line in this song, The Only Thing That Matters. It's the beginning of the second verse where it goes, someday she'll come back to me and I'll say something bitterly, which is a call to the Real Big Fish song, All I Want Is More, that is the chorus of that song. So if you listen to these three songs together, that's why I blocked them together. You can hear Travis Barker's drumming from Blink-182, and you can hear the callbacks to Blink-182's, roots through the Real Big Fish song at the end there. And I don't know if that's something you guys picked up when y'all were listening to.
That one went over my head.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Over my head. That's very neat.
The only thing I picked up was the punk levels increasing and my eyes beginning to roll even more so.
Again, I loved it. Especially Super Rad was like, along with the three I said earlier, the Your Guts, the Impression I Got, and All My Best Friends Are Metalheads. I think Super Rad is like right up there with like in that group of like my favorite songs from the playlist.
They all came out about the same time. We're in the 90s.
Makes sense.
So,
it's just the cadence of it, like just the cadence of that song just really draws me in. I feel like no, 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 no. Like that just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about that is just like, I love it.
Yeah, I can see the infectiousness of it, if that's a word.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Very wholesome.
There we go.
It is wholesome too, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Aquabats are a very wholesome band, and then I included Blink-182. That's not a ska song, but I included it so that we could kind of get in that modern media that we're pulling our roots from these guys. So, I mean, it wasn't very much of a ska song, but it was important for me, at least, to add it in there. And then the All You Want Is More. I mean, that's just another kind of like angry, funny song that Real Big Fish did.
Yeah. So I like the other Real Big Fish song better than this one. I just don't like the singing on this one. It's off for me for some reason. I don't know why.
I like the trumpet a lot more.
Yeah,
I assume that's a trumpet.
Yeah,
I think it's a trumpet. Well, whatever the
trumpet,
horn.
they have a trumpet and trombone at that time. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I
I like it a lot more on this Real Big Fish song than the previous one.
Yeah. So the instrumentation is fine, but I just don't like the singing. Just I don't know. It didn't hit for me for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, not to be harsh, but in the song they say, "Why don't you go fuck yourself?" So
there you go.
Okay, well,
we're
Jay,
speaking directly to you, Terry.
Thank you for being on the podcast. We're going to wrap this on up.
It's okay. We're close to the end anyway.
Damn it. He's gotten too powerful, Brandon.
There's only 14 more songs to go.
I'm outnumbered. I'm outnumbered.
So that was really why I included these three songs in there. It's a lot about seeing where our roots are, using that, and kind of going to places there. Then we can go ahead and move on to the next song that I had on this playlist, which is "A Better Place, A Better Time" by Streetlight Manifesto. I tried hard not to replay artists on here, but this song is the ska song that means the most to me.
Bro.
It is deep.
This is my shit. I love this song. This is my favorite song off the whole playlist. I love it so much.
It's deep. It's, it was I'll get you guys reactions and I'll kind of tell you what the song was written about. So y'all go ahead.
I'll jump in. I also I agree with what Terry said. As much as I do love We Will Fall Together, I think this is also I think it is the lyrics and like the what the theme of the song, what they're talking about, that definitely makes it kind of hit a little bit harder than We Will Fall Together. As much as I do love We Will Fall Together as well, like I mentioned before, it's also, again, it's got a sick bass line that is just like very prominent.
Yeah, so for me, this goes 100% to the lyrics. Initially, I was like, okay, I like the instrumentation of it. I like the smoothness of it. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I started to the lyrics. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of profound. And then its song continued to, to go. The energy continued to increase despite talking about such a deep subject. So we had a whole playlist dedicated to upbeat songs with deeper meanings, and this song definitely qualifies for that.
Oh, 100%.
And I appreciate that nature of it. The singing, again, is not the greatest, but it's still, because of the lyrics and the passion behind the singing, gets an immediate pass, and it just, you can feel that. You know what I mean? Like the best way to put it is like how CeeLo put it, was like his perfect imperfections. And like that's what this song kind of embodies. It's like, it's not perfect. It's, the music itself is fine, but the, singing, there's the off-key moments, some weird harmony choices, but it's so off that it's perfect, if that makes sense for what it is.
Yeah, I definitely, that's a great way to put it. I feel like for me, that honestly applies to like a lot of these songs, that the fact that it's kind of imperfect, like adds to the artistic appeal to it for me a little bit.
Yeah. I don't totally disagree with that. I mean, I don't know. It depends on the song, I guess, for me. But yeah, for this song in particular, this is the part to play as well. Like, okay, I've oscillated between the reggae, the punk, and the knob has been going up and down, but then kind of got too far into the punk, and then this kind of brought it back over to the reggae, and then the lyrics kind of kicked in. I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm okay with this. The other song that I mentioned before that had a good balance, Your Guts. So between Your Guts and then this place here, A Better Place, A Better Time, those two songs to me is like, okay, this is like a good balance of the blending of genre, the fusion of genres together, and it's not off-putting for me personally, but that's just how I feel.
Well, that's two of my favorites too. So I just want to say, I'm even though we don't totally agree on this playlist, Terrio, at least we have that in common.
Yeah.
I feel like this song is, so if any of our listeners are ever going through like a hard time and they feel like alone in this world, this is the song you should put on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This song, it's very deep. It means a whole lot. This is one of the songs that I got really more like attached to. I've got the lyrics tattooed on my arm. It's so deep and it's very, like I said, it can be very uplifting if you're going through a time yourself. I think what the song is, he kind of talked about what the song is about, and I'm very, very short storying it. It's written about two real life people, and one person was consoling the other one on a surgery that they were about to have, and they were terrified of the surgery. So that is what the lyrics of the song is, what the person said to the other person. When you wake up, everything's going to be fine. You're going to wake in a better place, better time.
That makes total sense.
So I felt like, I feel like the words double entendre here, or like the double meaning here means so much more than just that. It means, it can, for anybody, like I said, if you're going through a hard time, listen to the song. And if it doesn't make you feel better, I'm sorry, but it helps me. It helped me when I was going through dark times, and this is the one song that means the most to me.
Yeah.
That's definitely, I think, a hallmark indicator of like a good work of art of any medium, right? Is like, it was written for something kind of specific, but it can help you in like a totally different scenario and like connect with you in a very deep way. And I 100% agree. It's a great song for anyone going through some tough times.
Yep. Totally agree.
Yeah, so enough of that bullshit. Let's get to some funny stuff again. So the next song is Barada by Reskaja. By any chance, did either one of you guys translate this song?
No.
fuck? No.
Okay, so I included this because I wanted to talk a little bit about international ska bands. So I could have included people out there probably like, oh, you should have done Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra or the Melbourne Ska Orchestra, Tommy Tornado, Red Stripes. And yeah, those are all amazing bands. I like Rush Kazaa because they're fun. They're funny. So this song is in Russian. I mean, you probably were listening to it, think that your speakers broke because it wasn't playing in English anymore. But the song is about a guy growing a beard and everybody loves him. That is what this song is about. No joke.
Simple.
And
Nice.
I like that it's very reggae. The horns parts in it add so much to the song that it's just, to me, this is one of a big banger for me personally. So
yeah. I did pick up on that vibe of like, oh, this isn't another language, but it's still ska. So I was like, okay, ska
100%.
has gone beyond from whence it came, I guess. So yeah, I definitely picked up on that.
I know Russian is, obviously a more Germanic, I guess, language than English is a little bit. But I don't know how much of it is the language and how much of it is his voice. But I do just love the way he sings the song. It's like the tone of the singing just hits, along with everything. I mean, I enjoyed the song just in general, but that in particular kind of stood out to me.
Yeah. If you guys really enjoyed that and really enjoyed it, I mean, this song comes from a 4-track EP. The other 3 are covers. The covers are "Wake Me Up" by Avicii, "Roar" by Katy Perry, and "Get Lucky" by Daft Punk and Pharrell Williams. And
Okay,
they're
I'm
all
definitely gonna
ska-based.
I'm gonna go check those out because all 3 of those that tickles my brain. You just saying that.
Yeah, and they're all ska-based. I like "Wake Me Up," but I feel like it fell flat in a couple places. But that's just me being me. But I wanted to include a couple international ska bands on here, at least one international ska band on here, so that we know that we broke containment and it's actually out in the whole world and not just in America and in Jamaica. So that kind of leads us into ska today. So the next 2 songs are really ska bands that are kind of going around today that are not as big, as huge and big as like Streetlight and your Real Big Fishes and those. So we got "MTV Is Over If You Want It" by We Are the Union and "Asinine Aesthetic" by Catbite. I already know this from this whole episode that Q, you probably hated "MTV Over If You Want It," but We Are the Union is I believe they're based in DC, and they are, this is actually an older song by them. They've got a lot of new material. This is one of my favorite songs by them. This leads a lot more to that heavy punk rock, heavy rock side of it, while Asinine Aesthetic is a little bit more on the ska side of it. They don't have a horn player, they have a synth player, so they have that. So these 2 songs kind of are where we're leading into our 2 new branches of what we're calling new tone ska. Is our 2 new branches of where we're going and what the future looks like for this genre.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say I don't appreciate you calling me out like that, because you don't know my life. You don't know. This could be in my top picks.
Was it?
Right.
But it's not. I hated this song so much.
And there it is.
There it is. All right.
I hated that one. However, I did like Catbite.
I did too. I like that one a whole lot.
Now, I didn't research them until this very moment, and I'm kind of confused on something. So I'm trying to check my sources before I say something or misspeak.
Go ahead, misspeak. We want to hear it.
Okay, so I'm listening to the playlist and everything, and then all right, cool. All right, I just want to make sure because I didn't want to misgender anybody. But I was listening to the song, I was like, oh, okay, good. It's nice to hear somebody other than hear another female in ska besides Gwen Stefani. But yeah, so I like the vibe of it. I mean, it's such a good song, and it's ska, but it harkens back to something else too. I can't quite lay my finger on it, but I like it. So that was my other pick in the top 5.
Okay.
I would agree with that, actually. I think it's up in my top 5 as well. "MTV Is Over If You Want It." It was okay, but I think just because it's near the end of the playlist and I had really loved some of the earlier songs, it kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Especially it being followed by "Asinine Aesthetic," which I did really, really love. I think in large part because of the female singer, just after 20 so songs of just basically male singers besides that one Gwen Stefani song or No Doubt song. It was just, it's a nice change up in the playlist.
Yeah, and it's also good to kind of hear her just keeping up and vibing out and putting out just as much, if not more, energy into the ska feeling. So like this is one of the songs that lyrically I wasn't super paying that much into, but I was still bouncing around and like nodding my head with it because the way she was singing, it brought the energy that I liked, So I'm a fan of this song.
Cool. Yeah. I mean,
and the name is catchy too. I love the name.
Yeah, Catbite. I mean, Catbite. They're big. They're starting to really grow into their own. They did a lot of opening for like Streetlight and a couple of the bigger ska bands around here, and they headline their own tours. And I personally believe they'll be the future of ska. If not, they already are where they go.
Yeah.
What I like about ska really is like all of their people aren't afraid to do what they want in these songs. They're not afraid to speak their voice. They're not afraid to do their own things. I mean, you can go, there's plenty of other stuff I did not include on this playlist. There's the Flaming Tsunamis had this one song called Purgatory Cats Mez 11. And at 2 minutes, 30 seconds of that song, the trombone player came in and played the X-Men theme on his trombone. It fits
nice.
From
That's
the
awesome.
97 X-Men, and it fits so well that, they included it on there, and it sounds so good. I'll send you guys a clip of that. So y'all can check that out. The rest of that song is not for everybody. I just want to highlight that one point. There's a lot of really, really good bands out there who are not as well known. And so that kind of brings us to towards the end of our playlist, our last two songs. What I wanted to do here is I wanted to highlight we're all from Atlanta. I wanted to highlight a couple of Atlanta local bands.
Okay.
My big thing is I think that everybody out there should support local music.
Absolutely.
For sure.
It's huge. If you're going to support a band that's playing for 3 people, adding one extra person, that's another listener that they got. So the last 2 songs on here we go again by the Taj Motel Trio and Ska Day by Left Hand Hot Dog are 2 of our local Atlanta ska bands. I played with Taj Motel Trio for a couple of years. As a trumpet player. They've actually been around for like 20 years. I listened to them in high school, and then I actually got to play with them, 20 years down the road, which is so cool for me. And I don't play with them anymore, but I really enjoyed my time with them. They're all really cool folks. And then Left Hand Hot Dog, they're brand new. They're a couple years old. They do a lot of they're really growing to their own, and they're getting kind of big. Between them, we also out there is the Stepmoms are really, really good. There's a Hispanic band called La Suegra who does like a Mexican ska style that's really, really good. There's some two-tone out there. No, not mariachi, but there's a two-tone out there, Bad Levers, that are pretty good. So if you guys want to check out some ska in our local area, please go check out some of these people. And even if you don't like any of the music that we listen to today, go listen to local music. Go listen to your local bands for the 100%. Genre that you listen to. It is you have no idea how much an extra 1 or 2 people at one of their shows could be. Yeah. So with that, what are your thoughts on our local musicians here?
Okay, I just want to point out just the name of Left Hand Hot Dog for the band is just, I don't know why necessarily it tickles me so much, but I just genuinely love it. Just the idea of like, I'm going to hold a hot dog in my left hand, and that's what I'm going to name my band because of it. I have no idea if there's a story behind the name or what, but it's great.
I believe there is a story, and I've asked, but I've had a few PBRs when I've asked, so I don't remember what they said.
Understood. Yeah. Only thing I know is that my mind goes in various different places that I'm not comfortable with saying on this podcast, so I'm just going to leave that alone.
Oh, all right.
Fair.
But for the music.
Ska Day in particular, I like how I really like the intro, but then also how they kind of like, they kind of start the song by saying like, if you want ska, go listen to the Skatelites, go listen to the Real Big Fish. Like they literally are like paying homage and giving flowers to like all these big groups that are on this playlist that kind of paved the way for them. And that's just, it's nice to see that, newer groups, sometimes occasionally they'll get like kind of arrogant, like I'm the next big thing. All these other people that came behind, they paved the way for me. But these guys obviously are like conscious of the fact that like they wouldn't be able to be where they are doing what they do without these other groups. So that's always, I love to see that personally.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I was going to say the same exact thing about Ska Day. So yeah.
Cool.
Well, you're welcome. Now you don't have to say it.
Yeah, I don't. So I'm going to move over to Here We Go Again. That intro by the Taj Motel Trio.
Mm-hmm.
that intro on that song is so beautiful. I love it.
It is
It's
very
so smooth.
nice.
It's so smooth.
I agree with that.
I don't know the meaning behind the album title. Again, my mind goes places. I just find it funny. So
it was released on vinyl, so like a small vinyl.
Okay.
So right, and it was it's a 4-song EP released on a vinyl is really what it was.
Okay, perfect. All right. So that's where my mind went, and then my mind went elsewhere too. So but yeah, but
I just now realized what you were talking about. As I'm sitting here like looking at the list.
But yeah, I appreciate those two songs, followed by, they follow Cat Bite. So I was like, okay, cool. And then Taj Patel trio did their thing with Here We Go Again, and then SKA Day paying homage to the predecessors as well as the previously played songs on this playlist. I see what you did there, Jake. You think you slick. I see what you did there.
I don't think I slick. I know I slick.
Oh, damn. Bomb drop. Boom. But yeah, that's totally cool, man. Overall, I'll just say I definitely have a stronger appreciation for ska music than I did before going into this playlist. And that's what I wanted. Am I an avid fan for it? No. But I can appreciate the fans who do love it, and I can appreciate the value that it adds to people's lives, and just seeing the clips of people out there skanking all over the place.
We didn't even talk about skanking. Skanking is a ska dance. It is nothing more than that. It's basically like it's a halfway between like the Running Man all the way, and like if you ever seen like hardcore dancers where they're like in the pit and they're like kicking their legs, and it's kind of halfway. It's kind of a tame version of that. So.
It's tame for the individual, but when you have 5 or 6 people skanking together, it can look like skank pit. It's just like a whole. He was like, okay, somebody's gonna get hit. So, but at the same time though, just do what you do, love what you love, and I appreciate the genre and the fans of this genre because again, they love what they love and they go hard, and I love when people go. Okay, let me say that differently. I like when people appreciate what they love without inhibition. So,
well, I just want to say I'm going to go. I think a little bit further than Terrio. I did not think I would have this happen to me coming into this playlist in this episode, but I'm going to solidly say that I'm now like a ska fan. I'm definitely going to be seeking out more like ska music. And like I'm sure a lot of these songs will be popping up on like my super mixes and whatnot from now on, and I'm going to be vibing to them like full stop. I'm definitely going to go back and listen to some more Real Big Fish and some more just several of these groups. I'm going to be going back to listen to some more of their music and kind of exploring their discographies more. So I thank you so much, Jake, for making this. First of all, because I definitely had a lot of wrong misconceptions on the genre and what it was about as a whole coming into this. And I was very happily proven wrong on many of them.
Yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed putting this together. I will tell you that the original playlist that I set up was, y'all were laughing because it's 29 songs, but they're all short songs. I had this playlist when I originally put in all the songs I wanted to include was going to be about 2.5 hours. So I cut out, I mean, you guys got to understand how much I cut out of this that I really wish that I could put in and show you guys a lot more of it, but I felt like we should really keep it kind of mainstream ska, kind of keep it all together instead of branching out into some other places. Our tree was not, it was more of a Charlie Brown Christmas tree than it was an actual tree. But I mean, like, this is just the tip of the iceberg, ladies and gentlemen.
Again, I think you doing it that way, I definitely think it lends itself to kind of introducing someone who doesn't really have the experience of ska. This was a very good way, I felt, to like I said, ease me into it and like really introduce me to it as the playlist went along. So I loved it.
Good. Yeah. I'm so glad.
Yeah. I appreciate you taking the time to put this together for us. Do you have anything you'd like to plug or promote or share for the audience?
Unfortunately, I really don't. I'm pretty
boring
great.
Person. So we're gonna move on.
Okay, all right. Well, the only thing I'll say is, if you ever if you want to see me do something, I play with the North Georgia Winds, which is a that's more concert type style music, like classical music. I play with them. I'll be. I just found out the other day that I'll be playing the national anthem for the Gwinnett Stripers on Easter Sunday. So if y'all wanted to, anybody wanted to go see me. Do that. That's going to be good. Other than that, the only thing I really got to say out there, and I'm going to double down on it hard, is go support your local music. It is the pathway to what the future is, and everything helps for all those bands. That's really all I got.
I second that again.
I third that. And another way you can support your local artists is by listening to this podcast.
And sharing it. And
liking and clicking that bell.
Yeah.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It'll help us out and help us keep the streams going, and we can eventually work our way through some of these local acts and possibly get them on to the podcast. So all joking aside, we do thank Jake, and we do thank you guys for listening to the show and listening to this playlist in general and hanging out with us today. You can always go to afterplaylist.com for all of our social media links, previous episodes, previous music playlists. Feel free to share it with anyone or anybody who says ska is just white people reggae. You're like, nope, listen to this episode. It's more than just white people reggae. It's reggae with white people. So it's a little bit different than that.
It's white people mariachi.
There you go. But anywho, thank you for listening. Until next time, keep on listening.
Keep on listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Black Giraffe made this.
You don't want to say bye, Jake?
Oh, I bye.